Hello beautiful people and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we will be discussing or we will be talking about a story. It's a story of grace, a story of resilience, a story of strong will, and a story of determination. This is the story of Chidinma Adetshina, a girl who was rejected by a country of about 40 million people but turned out to be accepted even beyond her imagination around the globe. So make sure to stay tuned because I'll be giving you guys all the information, every little thing that you may not know about her. So let us go right into it, guys. Okay, so Chidimma Adetshina is a 23-year-old lady and a law student. I believe she is in her final year. She was born in Soweto, South Africa, but was raised in Cape Town of South Africa. Her father is Nigerian, the Igbo side, and her mother is Mozambican. So in 2017, when Miss South Africa, in person of Demile, won the Miss Universe competition, this was when Chidimma's eyes got opened to the Miss Universe pageant, and then she got to see the opportunity that it has and how beautiful it is. Actually, Chidimma is not so new to pageantry as she has competed before in her primary school days and her high school days, but she did not know that it is such a global thing like that, a sort of platform that could empower women as it is. And when Miss South Africa 2017 won the Miss Universe pageant, that was when she determined in her heart that yes, I am going to do this. I am going to compete in the Miss Universe pageant one day. I am going to get on that stage. And yes, oh boy, she was determined. Not that it matters, but anyway, let me just say that this lady, Miss South Africa 2017, is not of African descent, as you can see in her picture. She is probably colored or white South African, but let us not digress too much. So in the year 2021, possibly, I'm not too sure around that year, Chidimma gave it a try to get into the Miss South Africa pageant. Actually, the Miss South Africa pageant is a unique one on its own. Unlike other pageants where you just see the contestants on the stage, doing catwalks and all, Miss South Africa pageant sort of presents itself as a reality show where the ladies do all sorts of things, where they engage in some exercises, talk about their advocacy and many other interesting things. And I must say that this is really good because it is very entertaining and it gives the viewers a sort of insight to who could possibly be Miss South Africa. So this is the routine of Miss South Africa competition. So Chidimma gave it a try in 2021 possibly, but she was not able to get in. Did this break her and did this make her stop? No, it did not. Unfortunately, early 2022, Chidimma broke her ACL, which is a ligament. And ligaments are sort of things like, if you know your biology, you would know what ligament does. So it's basically like things that help you move your legs or your joints and muscles, all those kind of things. So she unfortunately broke her ligament or torn her ACL, her ligament, and she had to undergo surgery. And after undergoing the surgery, it took her about a year to be able to walk in heels again. And she even mentioned that she had to take walking classes in order to be comfortable with walking in heels. So right after all that happened, unfortunately or fortunately, Chidimma got pregnant out of wedlock and she had to marry the man who got her pregnant. So the chances of competing in the Miss Universe seemed to be crumbling away from Chidimma. She had her traditional wedding and everything done in South Africa, where most of her family members resided. So now until recently that the Miss Universe organization now changed the requirements to allow people who are married, people who are divorcees, people who have children, and people who are pregnant. So this seemed like an opportunity smiling on Chidimma, and then she decided to give the Miss South Africa another chance. The reason why she is going for the Miss South Africa is because if you win the Miss South Africa pageant, then you could be appointed as Miss Universe South Africa. If she had won the crown of Miss South Africa, thereby giving her a chance to represent the country in the prestigious Miss Universe competition. So she decided to give it another chance. But before she did, the first thing she did was to divorce her husband. And it's not because, she doesn't want to go into the competition as a married person, but it was because the husband wanted a conservative wife, women that can only cook, clean, take care of the house, give birth to children and all. And obviously that was not what Chidima wanted for her life, especially as a lady who was studying law at that time. It was not something that just fit into her kind of person. And I don't think the marriage lasted up to 1 year, and she eventually divorced him, then going into the Miss South Africa pageant. So Chidima proceeded into that competition. She was like a dark horse. Nobody saw her coming. So on the 8th of May 2024, Chidima decided to submit this entry video on her TikTok platform in order to join the Miss South Africa pageant.
Hello South Africa, my name is Chidinma Adetshina. I'm 23 years old, all the way from Cape Town. I'm a netball player and an LLB law student. Violence against women and children still remains ubiquitous and unreported. The silence on violence against women and children has to be broken, and now is the time for us to take stronger measures to attend to the cries of our victims and to create a safer society for women and children to live in. Alongside the South African platform, I can encourage society to join hands with me in advocating for change and supporting initiatives that will protect women. By doing so, we can create awareness and we can educate the public as well as the public services so that we can create a safe environment for our victims to speak and to be heard. To women and children living in violence, never let anyone silence your voice because your voice can make a difference. We all deserve to live a life free from violence. You are not alone, and your story matters.
Like most other candidates, when they are very new in the competition, people don't get to know them. And if you remember what I mentioned earlier, the Miss South Africa pageant is like a reality show called Crown Chasers. So most people did not really pay attention to who Chidima is until when she approached the top 30 and she, began posting on her social media platforms celebrating her achievement, because the earlier time that she had participated, she was not even accepted into the pageant. So she, posted online, and that was where people were like, oh, who is this girl? Who is this girl bearing Chidinma Adetshina in the Miss South Africa pageant?
Okay, so I was just this little girl who has always wanted to achieve this dream of becoming the next Miss Universe. I've always watched Miss Universe since 2017. And then I just told myself, like, why not try again, And I made the top 30, and I was really proud of myself. And I just told myself, you know what, it's okay. Top 30 is okay. And I started progressing and going further in the competition, and I was really proud of that as well. And then I made it through to the top 16, and it hit social media. It all started because of my name. People were not happy that my name is Chidimma and I am representing South Africa. So that is where it actually really started. And, people felt like, South Africans felt like I wasn't South African enough because of my name.
And, this began to attract a lot of attentions, both from people with diversified background like Chidimma and South Africans alike, and even other people who are like Chidimma from the diaspora. And then media outlets started talking about her, about how her name doesn't ring a bell, about how her name does not sound South African enough. Just watch this video and see.
So specifically, there's one contestant at Miss South Africa that some South Africans are not happy that she made the top 16. Her name is Chidimma Vanessa Onwe Adetshina. So we know South African names. We also know South African surnames, and this surname doesn't ring a bell. Chidimma is from Samagrins. The mom, Mozambican. The dad, Nigerian. And on top of it, Chidimma is a mother of one.
Her dual citizenship, being a Mozambican and a Nigerian, attracted a lot of attention. But Chidimma was like a dark horse, and she kept on going. And if I may say, I feel like South Africans just have a sort of hatred for Nigerians, and they feel like Nigerians sort of brag a lot, most especially when Nigerians call themselves the giant of Africa. I feel like South Africans are not so happy by this. So I did a thorough digging through Chidimma's comment, and I saw one of them which says that if Chidimma should eventually win the Miss South Africa pageant, then Nigerians would not let them rest. So they decided to make a petition like, you know what, where is this petition? Let us sign this petition and get this girl out of our Miss South Africa pageant. We want someone who is South African, who knows our culture, who can represent us. And you know what? Who is that person? We'll talk about that as we go on. So people created this petition and people began to sign. Also, I want you to take note of this woman who you are seeing on your screen right now. This woman is a Sangoma, and what it means is like, you know, all these herbalists or all these native doctors in South Africa, all sort of traditional healers. And this woman is a sort of patriot, if I should say. However, she determined to take Chidinma's case upon herself as well, posting on her social media platforms about how South Africans should not let Chidimma compete in that pageant. You know, a lot of bloggers, a lot of YouTubers with huge followings began to post about Chidimma, that South Africans should not let Chidimma continue in this pageant. But Chidimma was determined that since she met all the requirements, she is destined or she is determined to keep up with this race and to eventually win the crown. Some South Africans really supported Chidimma as they felt like her winning would bring an end to xenophobia and introduce South Africa to diversified background. Whereas some people, like I mentioned earlier, were not happy with her and felt like she is not South African enough. So every day Chidimma would be attacked on TikTok because I had to go through a lot of her comments. I checked even her old posts. Chidimma would be attacked on TikTok. In fact, if you check her comments, you'll see like anti-bullying tool applied. She would be attacked, you know, asking questions like, do you even know our anthem? And she would most times reply them that, how can you say I don't know the anthem of this country? I've been in this country for almost 23 years. You know, do you even speak in our mother's tongue? Every sort of every sort of way that South Africans could find, or let me say the xenophobic South Africans could find to bully this girl, they were doing it. But what interests me the most is that there are people who are of Indian descent, European descent, or, you know, other people like white South African who were competing in this pageant and obviously did not have the last name of a South African. But did South Africans say that those kind of people are not meant to be in the competition? No. Actually, this is not so new to South Africans, as we've heard of xenophobic attacks before in the past, where South Africans would go into the shops of Nigerians or other Africans doing well and attack them, loot their shops, probably even unalive some. Also, last year in the Miss SA pageant as well, there was a finalist who sort of saw this kind of thing, which tells you that this isn't new to South Africans. But I want to say, what is actually the issue with South Africans? Is it that they hate other Africans? Are they African phobes, if I should say, or they just have inferiority complex? Anyway, as I was saying, last year, similar thing happened with a lady participating in the Miss SA pageant, namely Melissa Naimuli. This lady is of South African and Ugandan descent. Her father is Ugandan and her mother is Xhosa. Please, if I don't get the pronunciation right, just forgive me. She also mentioned that she received a lot of backlash. So, in her own words, it says, coming from a multicultural home is what drives my advocacy of African unity. Growing up, I experienced a lot of xenophobia and often people shy away from this topic, but I think it's right time to speak about it. Being born and bred in Botherworth in the Eastern Cape and speaking Isiosa fluently makes me proudly South African. But when I made top 30 this year, I experienced a lot of backlash from people. They were saying things like, you're not fully South African and you don't deserve to represent the country. And then she went for that to ask the question that what exactly makes someone a South African? If you look at Miss Essay, it's not about your race, gender, or where you're from. It's about who's fit to do the job. But did South Africans stop? Definitely not, as it repeated itself again in the year 2024, right after this happened. to this lady, they repeated similar thing with Chidimma. So as the cyberbullying continued for Chidimma, a lot of people were defending her. In fact, even a far-left political party, namely the Economic Freedom Fighters, publicly defended her and calling her an end to xenophobia in South Africa and advocating for inclusivity, while other parties, namely the African National Congress and Patriotic Alliance, advocated for an investigation to be done into Chidimma's roots and how she has a South African identification. In fact, they went further to say that Chidimma having a South African identification gave funny vibes. As the cyberbullying continued and Chidimma progressed from top 30 to top 16, a video of her celebrating with her family also went viral online and further fueled the hatred and the bullying. And people who signed a petition for Chidimma to leave the competition was over 7,000. A lot of people wanted her out of that competition. However, the Miss SA organizers said that Chidimma met all of the requirements to be in the pageant and therefore are not taking her out of it. And these people went ahead to do a lot of digging out Chidimma's wedding video and said a lot of things that she did her wedding in a Nigerian way. A lot of people even went to her social media saying she only has a Mozambican and Nigerian flag in her bio. Then how can she come to say that she is South African?
I must say that the danger part of this is that it starts here with pigeons. The next thing it means South Africa will be having a president by the surname of Okonko. There's nothing, we are not against Africans, but we are against the legality that is happening here in our country. But this is the danger. If you look at the arrogance of the Nigerians, it already tells you what's to happen after this lady wins this crown. But yes, fact is she is a South African as per the Department of the Home Affairs. I hope that has been thoroughly checked. But I'm still saying that this lady will not be representing South Africans. This lady will not be taking this crown and, basing it here in South Africa. It will definitely be a crown of Nigerians. And we don't hate them, but we are saying that this is our pride as South Africans. She needed to be a proudly South African, but she is currently not showing that. She is showing of being a proudly Nigerian. And this is definitely pride of South Africans.
This person that you're seeing on your screen right now, the Minister of Home Affairs in person of Leon Strikbe, I believe he instigated that Chidimma's roots be investigated. However, he said that only if the family consented to it. And with the family thinking that they had nothing to hide, of course, they agreed that Chidimma's roots be investigated. Little did they know that the outcome of this will not be something to take lightly. Right after this investigation started, then the Home Affairs came up that Chidimma's mother could have possibly committed an identity fraud. And this is a really big issue in South Africa. So this fueled a lot of backlash again on Chidimma. Even though the Home Affairs officials said that Chidimma could have not done this as she would have been, and in fact, at the time the crime was committed, or should I rather say the supposed crime. So she began to receive death threats and she felt that her family's safety is being jeopardized. So Chidimma had to back out of the Miss SA pageant in the top 10 when she is this close to getting the crown. So this was so heavy on her heart as she felt like she has lost almost everything. But that is when the light shone on her. Unfortunately for Chidimma, she had to back out of the Miss SA pageant. And this is, it felt like her dream is being snatched out of her hand. But luckily enough for her, the Miss Universe Nigeria pageant was yet to start. So the Miss Universe Nigeria organizers, Silverbird Group, decided to send an invitation to Chidimma to come and compete in the Miss Universe Nigeria pageant, which was just about to start. It was an open invitation, and Chidimma sort of thought about it like, should she accept it or should she not? When a lot of people actually thought she should probably give it a rest and compete in Miss Universe Nigeria the following year, Chidimma decided to accept this invitation and compete in the Miss Universe Nigeria pageant. Oh boy, thankfully she accepted this invitation because the Miss Universe organizers now have made a rule that all participants must be born in the country they are representing, which thereby disqualifies Chidimma from competing in Miss Universe Nigeria next year. It is quite amusing to see South Africans even saying that they wish this rule had come in place earlier this year, so Chidimma would have not been able to compete in Miss Universe Nigeria. Like, oh God, why are people so inferior? Why do they have such inferior complex? See, if this was the days of the old, Chidimma's story should be in the Bible, because this is just like Joseph's story. When you are cast away, do not give up, because God is leading you to where your destiny will be fulfilled. So, when Chidimma backed out of this competition, she had already begun to receive media attention everywhere, even beyond South Africa. Nigerians were seeing it, Africa were seeing it, even in countries like America were seeing it, and people were really interested in her case. So that was when the organizers of Miss Universe Nigeria saw Chidimma, and they were like, girl, you look like you have potential. You indeed are someone that we think should not be going through this. Since you are part Nigerian, why not come to our country and compete in the Miss Universe Nigeria, so that if you possibly win, you can still fulfill that your dream. And thankfully for Chidimma, the Miss Universe Nigeria competition was just about starting. So Chidimma was just about 2 days late when others had been in the camp. So she came and she participated. Anyway, you would think that Chidimma backing out of Miss South Africa pageant, that this whole feud would end. No. And that was when the xenophobic South Africans thought like, oh, Nigeria, why would you accept this lady into your pageant? This lady is a fraudster. This lady committed identity theft, this and that. So when Chidimma accepted this invitation, it sparked a lot of controversy. Why would a lady who was not born in your country come and compete in your pageant? Oh, what about the people who went through all the processing of this pageant? This is unfair, this and that, and a lot of things. So in order to spite Nigerians, South Africans decided to take on the Bolt War. And that is when they began to order bolts from South Africa in Nigeria, making a lot of Nigerian boat drivers waste their fuel, despite the fact that they know what is happening concerning fuel situation in Nigeria. If you don't know what Bolt is basically like Uber in other parts of the world. So this got a lot of people angry as South Africans posted videos of themselves online making fun of how they were wasting Nigerian boat drivers' fuel. And little did they know that Nigerians do not carry last. And there is a reason why they are called the giants of Africa. Nigerians decided to backfire. Now, when it comes to bans, Nigerian bans, but we don't do violence. I think that's the only difference between Nigerians and South Africans. So Nigerians decided not to take it easy on South Africans. Nigerians decided to take back what was done and revenge it to South Africans. Nigerians also decided to begin to order boat drivers in South Africa. This caused a lot of pandemonium in South Africa as all boat drivers were assembling in a place, and every other people who needed boats in order to get to their workplace or to do certain things could not find drivers. This caused a lot of media attention, and the CEO of boats had to publicly beg Nigerians to please not be offended, and they had to like cancel the rights of people to make an order from different country. So little did you know that this battle is not ending here yet. A lot of bloggers were still posting about Chidimma, making her feel dirty, calling her a fraudster, and a lot of South Africans were angry at Nigerians for allegedly accommodating a criminal. So among the contestants, there is one who may not fit into the beauty standards in a global stage in person of Ufa Dania. This lady is the one who was representing Kwara State in the competition. I might have forgotten to say, a lot of people were like, why would Chidimma have been given Taraba State? Does she know anywhere in Taraba? Little did they know that Nigeria has 36 states. However, there were only 24 ladies competing in that pageant. And that's because they were just given random states to represent. They were all given like random states to represent. So all the ladies came They did a sort of auditioning, which includes catwalk, your advocacy, speech, and spokesperson ability. And they chose 24 ladies out of all those that competed. I believe there are about 60 ladies who auditioned, and they chose 24 people who actually did well. So, like every other lady, Chidimma was just given Taraba State. So South Africans were angry by this, and then they decided to spite Chidima and Nigeria by voting for Ufa Dania, even though they claimed that Nigerians were bullying Ufa Dania, which of course never happened. But they wanted to not only spite Chidima, but spite Nigerians as well. So they continually voted for Ufa Dania. Chidima's votes and Ufa Dania's votes were usually among the highest, and they ended up being among the highest. I can't remember correctly now, but I think those voting helped them get to the top 10. So Ufa Dania managed to finish amongst top 10, and that is where the public votes could take her to. So now imagine if the public vote could automatically make you the winner of Miss Universe Nigeria. Oh, thank God that was not possible, because South Africans would have had their way. Anyway, cut long story short, Chidima won the Miss Universe Nigeria pageant, meaning that she is now this person who has gained the right to represent Nigeria in the just concluded Miss Universe pageant. And South Africans were still not happy by this. They said that, oh, the show was rigged, it was already predetermined, this and that. A lot of people said a lot of things, like they just already determined before she came that she is the winner, blah, 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 blah. A lot of hatred still going online. One would think that with Chidimma winning in her own country, in her father's land, that the South Africans would keep quiet. No, they did not keep quiet. Now, Ufa Dania is a plus-size lady, and as we know, the Miss Universe pageant is just beginning to open itself to inclusivity, which includes plus-size, divorcee, people with tattoo, and so much more that we don't usually see on a global stage beauty pageant. Now back to Miss South Africa. Guess who won Miss South Africa? Mia Leroux, who has a French name, but I believe to the South African that she is truly South African. She has South African blood. She knows the South African culture, and this is not a problem for South Africans. Anyway, don't let me go there too much, because I don't want to seem like I'm hating on a disabled person. Since around August that this whole issue started of identity issue, when it was now October 28th, when Chidima was already about leaving to Mexico, or probably already in Mexico for the Miss Universe pageant. That was when the Home Affairs asked Chidima to come to the office, or wherever they are, to tell them reasons why she should still retain her South African identity. And unfortunately, because Chidima, of course, needs to be in the competition, she could not go for that meeting, and then the South African Home Affairs ministers decided to cancel or revoke her identity. Mind you, this same Home Affairs ministers could not provide a factual evidence that Chidimma's mother actually committed this identity fraud. Now, this same Home Affairs minister is aligning with Ukrainian in such a way that Ukrainians won't need visa to visit South Africa, and South Africans won't need visa to visit Ukrainians. Like, what is happening? You don't want to accept a fellow African, but you want other people who are not African to come into Africa. Anyway, what am I even saying? This man is not an African to begin with. As Chidimma proceeded to the Miss Universe pageant, oh boy, did this hatred from South Africans stop? It definitely did not. And then the Home Affairs people actually petitioned and wrote to the Miss Universe pageant that Chidimma is a fraudster and she should not be in the pageant and she should be withdrawn. And guess what? A lot of people signed this petition as well. However, to the Miss Universe pageant, Chidimma met all the requirements and is fit to participate. And as God will have it to shame South Africans, oh poor Mia, because no matter what, I don't want to make fun of a disabled person. So Mia unfortunately had to back out of the Miss Universe pageant due to vertigo, which is something that happens to deaf people. And dear Chidinma Adetshina finished in the Miss Universe pageant as a first runner-up. and she made a lot of records. Number one, being the highest placement Nigeria has ever had in the Miss Universe pageant. Number two, being the first title holder of Miss Universe Africa and Oceania, which is the continental queens that was just inaugurated in the Miss Universe pageant. Number three, being the only African this year to have reached the top 5 and the top 12 in the Miss Universe pageant. And number four, being the only West African to have reached the top 12 this year. So it's so amazing and it's so beautiful. However, due to all the traumatic experiences that Chidinma had during her pageantry, in this just everything started around August, honestly, from August to November. That's like how many months? I don't know. That's like within the last 3 or 4 months. Chidinma has been through a lot. So she said she would have to undergo therapy, and she is now staying in Nigeria and will not go back to South Africa. Although she is a final year student of law in South Africa, I don't know how she would do regarding that, if she would be able to transfer from South Africa to a university in Nigeria or probably New York. I don't know how she would go about it.
Due to the victimization of Adetshina by some South Africans, the organizers of the Puebla International Festival withdrew its invitations to the South African panelists and guests. The manager cited in its letter on X that the removal was due to South Africa's undermining of the principle of justice and equality as well as human dignity that the literature seeks to maintain. The country is no longer featured as a featured country at the festival, which is being held in Mexico.
And let me just say, Chidimma is still bullied up till now. Even she knows, as she has mentioned in an interview, and you can see they are calling her names such as Miss Almost. And honestly, that is it with this video, guys. I did not plan for this video to be too long, but I guess it is too long. So please, I want us to learn from this story. I want us to see that there is no good in being hateful. There is no good in being a bully. And it is so sad that even women are joining other people to bully Chidinma online. I mean, women, what are you talking about? Girl power, women right empowerment. Then what is all this that is happening? So personally, I've learned a lot from her story, perseverance, resilience. I have learned a lot, and I hope you did too. Please make sure to like this video, comment and subscribe, and I hope to see you in my subsequent videos. So until next time, bye.